Mademoiselle and sa deuxième Chanel and Jodia. We're gonna be talking about Lwa and if they replace God, because I just realized I never ever made a dedicated video about this, and I have to make a dedicated video about this because a lot of people comment on my channel or like they DM me and they're like, I only serve God. There is nothing before God. God is the only thing almighty except Jesus Christ before you go to hell. And I'm just like, are you done? You know, so I was like, you know what, let's just make a dedicated video. So one, when people ask me these questions, I can just send this to them. And two, so you guys can shut the fuck up and I can continue to block you guys, right? So first things first, what we're not going to do is disrespect other people's religion. What we're not going to do is literally not be open to other people's religions. And what we're not going to do is disrespect one another in the comment section. If you don't understand, you don't understand. But listen to what I'm saying, okay? So when it comes to voodoo or other folk religions, for the most part, most of the time they do believe in God. I believe when it comes to all religions, we're all like serving the same God at the end of the day. It's just people have different ways of going about it. But for this video, we're mainly going to be talking about Haitian voodoo. I know for the most part, when we're talking about like Louisiana or just West African type of religions, it's usually very, very similar, but we're mainly going to be talking about Haitian voodoo. So Haitian voodoo, they believe in Mon Dieu, okay? Same thing, God. Haitians, whether you're Christian, Pentecostal, Baptist, Catholic, whatever, it's all Bon Dieu. People who practice voodoo also believe in Bon Dieu. What you need to understand is that just like how Catholic people have saints, or like Christian people believe in the Holy Spirit, or just like how other people who believe in other religious practices have certain figures, spirits, or whatever the case may be, have things that they actually care about to reference God or to hold the place of God or to guide them in their daily life. That's exactly what a Lwa is. So according to Britannica, I'm going to read this off of my phone. A Lwa, also spelled L-O-A, which I really hate that spelling, but that's neither here or there. The primary spirits of voodoo. They are akin to the Orishas of Yoruba religion and of similar Afro-Caribbean new religious movements. But unlike the Orishas, the Lwa are not deities but are spirits, whether of human or divine origin, that were created by Bon Dieu to assist the living in their daily affairs. So think of it as just like how more than likely Catholic people have saints, right? Catholic people have like Saint Mary, Saint Joseph, Saint Nicholas, Saint this, Saint that. And that's another thing. A lot of people like to think that, you know, Catholic people are demonic and they're closely related to voodoo, and it's so ridiculous, especially when it comes to Haitian people. And this is mainly because of slavery and how the slaves had to use these figures in order to disguise the fact that they wanted to still serve their God, but then like disguise it in the fact that they were still praising Christianity. So they did use the saints, and to this day the saints are still synced with a lot of the Lwa. So a lot of people, once they hear you're Catholic, especially in the Haitian religion, especially in the Haitian culture, they're most likely going to be like, oh, you're Catholic? Oh my God, like that means you serve voodoo. And it's like, no, there is absolutely no legitimate connection between voodoo and Catholicism. However, it is closely related in Haitian culture, mainly because, like I said, the Haitian slaves had to basically merge a lot of the teachings and a lot of the imagery in order to still serve their religion when they were slaves. So it's just very interesting how today in 2022 it still has to be thoroughly explained, even for a lot of people that, you know, are respective of voodoo or other folk religions. I still find myself having to tell people, like, if you do choose to serve a Lwa, or you do choose to, you know, be interested in a voodoo religion, that doesn't necessarily mean you're denouncing God. That does not mean you're replacing God in your life, or now you just serve that Lwa or that Orisha or whatever. Now, let me just tell you right now, right? I have no idea how that works with atheists. My dad's an atheist and he serves. I don't know how that works. He just be like, God don't exist, God this, God that. Like you try to talk to my dad about God and he just looks at you like, God don't exist, right? But for the most part, I've never met any voodoo practitioner that does not believe in God. I think my dad is the only one I've ever met. I feel like that's for very, very personal reasons. He's always been like that. It's very, very subjective to you. How you practice is very subjective to you. However, the teachings of voodoo and how voodoo works, there is God involved. There is no devil worship involved. It doesn't mean that you're replacing God with the devil or you're just now devoting your life to the Lwa. It just means that now that Lwa guides you in your day to day. The way that I like to really explain it to people is that, like, I've always said, God don't got time. That's always been something I said. I'm like, God don't got time for that. You know, like, y'all be sitting here complaining to your friends all damn day, complaining to all these people all day about like mundane shit. Think of God as like the master, right? A lot of people think of God as like the high up, like he does everything for us. He's there for us every single time we need him. But at the same time, God has so many things to do. If you guys ever watched the show Lucifer, the final seasons, I believe the last 2 or 3 seasons, God does appear. Of course, due to society, due to their upbringing and not being open-minded, they refuse to watch Lucifer. I don't know if y'all think a demon's gonna show up in your closet or anything. Lucifer is hands down one of my favorite shows I've ever watched on Netflix. It's a very, very good show. Has a lot of Bible references. It helps you really, really understand things. And shockingly enough, everything is like very accurate. And in one of the seasons, God shows up and God is like tired, okay? And things on the earth start happening that are very, very weird because God is tired. God has basically kind of like lost his godly touch. Like, he didn't lose his powers completely, but he's kind of like out of control because it's like he got so much to do. The angels are fighting each other because they want power and they're basically fighting on who's going to be the next God. Like, it's very entertaining. Like, of course, that's just TV, but that's basically the way I like to think about it because it's like God cannot just be everywhere all the time doing everything. If you believe in angels, if you believe in archangels, if you believe in spirits, even if you believe in mermaids and fairies and all these other things, I believe if you do believe in those things, shit, even aliens, right? I believe all of these things are here to help us in a way. All of these things are here to help humans, here to help other beings get and accomplish where they need to go, here to help people or beings or animals, whatever case may be, get to their next plane in life. I don't think that God is the only one doing these things. I feel like God created every single one of these things, both good and bad. Some things might have just lost their way. Some beings might have just became bad on their own. Or maybe it's just our perception that just sees certain things as bad, you know? Maybe it's just us that sees, oh, okay, well, I don't like the way this is. I don't like this opinion of whatever. So therefore, I'm just gonna deem this as negative. You know, whatever the case may be, Lwa or Rishas, fairies, mermaids, whatever case may be, I feel like at the end of the day, they're all an aid. And that's how you need to see these beings that we talk about, you know, the angels that sometimes I reference, all of these things, they're here to help. They should not be seen as demonic in nature. They should not be seen as something that are going to hinder you. Because at the end of the day, I feel like there's room for everything. There's room for everyone. If we were the only intelligent beings on earth, let's be real, do you really think we would get this far? Like, yeah, we're smart and we're great and we're powerful in our own right, but I do not think we're that powerful. Like, I'm just saying, I genuinely don't. I feel like most of the time people get really, really confused with this is because of the altar. I think that's the most controversial thing because people see altars and they automatically think, oh, nope, that's serving. Nope, that's replacing God. Why don't people have God altars? Basically, they're like, yo, why don't you have a God altar? Why doesn't God have an altar? Why is it that, you know, the Lwa has an altar? And it's like, for the most part, from what I understand, there are some people that have like just a regular spiritual God altar, whatever case may be. No one's saying you don't have to, but God is all around you. God doesn't necessarily need an altar. And of course, the ceremonies are something that's definitely very, very stigmatized as well. Especially when it comes to Haitian voodoo. I know that when like it was a lot of the US occupations that happened in Haiti, a lot of the soldiers went back to America telling a bunch of tall tales. Well, some of them were true tales, but basically glorifying and glamorizing the whole idea of voodoo and zombies and all this extra shit, and they were made into movies, etc., etc. But long story short, a lot of Haitian voodoo ceremonies can come off extremely scary, and if you know nothing about spirituality, if you know nothing about voodoo, if you know nothing about anything, you're gonna be like, nope, devil, nope, there's no God here, you know? So that's another reason why I feel like a lot of people, the ceremonial thing is also a thing, because again, why there's no God God ceremonies. It's like there's ceremonies for God every fucking Sunday. Church is a ceremony for God. You know, I feel like a lot of things are a matter of perspective, right? And of course, it's the verbiage. And this is something I've talked about a couple of times. Like, I don't like how every single time, like, I look up something on the internet regarding a Lwa video, yeah, God of the water. It's like, it's not a God. Remove the technicalities, you know? Like, it's very annoying because, like, I know that most of the time it's not necessarily a Haitian or an African person writing it, but it's just like, god damn it, the verbiage. You know, when people are saying the God of this, the God of that, the Lord of that, the of all creation, and this, it can get a little messy, and it can make people think, oh, this means that if this person calls on to me, if this Lwa calls on to me, if this spirit wants me to serve them, then that means I can't serve God too. And that's just so far from the truth. Society has put such a big stigma on a lot of this. I feel like I said, the US occupation has a lot to do with this. Ignorance has a lot to do with this. Lack of proper research, of course, the whole idea of people just being thrown the Bible and not doing their own research. I feel like a lot of us, we're just taught something and then we don't challenge it. You know, we're just told, okay, this is this and that is that and that's that, and then we never go to like further like investigate. Why did they tell me this? Why did they tell me that? Why do they not want me to do this? Why did they not want me to go there? You know, and that's very, very problematic, because then when we have our own children, or when we get around other children in our lives, we perpetuate those same ideas, and that's just not healthy. And that goes into the media as well. The media perpetuates so many toxic ideas, especially when it comes to journalism. It's like, yo, I went to school for journalism and I'm just so ashamed looking at journalism now. It's like, what the hell is this? Like, a lot of the journalism is not journalism these days, especially when you hear a lot of voodoo stories in the news, which I forgot that was a series that I had started on here where I was doing like voodoo stories and stuff. But like, even when you see a lot of the voodoo stories, a lot of them aren't even voodoo stories. It's just suspicious circumstances with some Haitian people, and they just want to call it a voodoo story. Like, excuse me, like, that's salacious and that's considered fucking slander, and they should sue your ass. All right, like, no, like, stop making shit up. You know, the media loves to sensationalize a good story. They hear the person is West African, they hear the person is Haitian or any type of Caribbean. Oh, you heard some noises. Oh, you saw some fire. Oh, you saw a ceremony. You saw a ritual. Oh, voodoo. It's really ridiculous. It really is. Like, I've seen so many stories and I just be like, I don't see no voodoo here. They just be throwing voodoo in there for clicks, you know? And the media sure does a good job of that. Like, they really do. And it just makes people scared, you know? It doesn't make them want to actually learn about what they're scared about. And of course, the good old church, okay? The church has told me, especially since I was like freaking like 7, like, oh my God, you're Catholic. We need to get you out of that. You need to be rebaptized. The Catholic people, they're no good for you. Listen, I left the Catholic Church because, I mean, I did a whole story time about why I left the Catholic Church. And to be quite honest with you, I have absolutely no urge to baptize into anything else. I'm fine where I'm at. I'm okay where I'm at. I'll stay Catholic. I don't want to be Baptist. I don't want to be Pentecostal. I don't want to be Adventist. I don't want to be an Israelite. I don't want to be anything. I don't even want to serve voodoo, okay? It's too much. It's too much work. I just don't care enough, to be honest. I'd rather go to a non-denominational church, to be quite honest with you. And even at that, I just don't care, okay? I serve God the way I serve God, and God serves with me the way he wants me to serve him. You know, that's just the way I see it. With that being said, comment down below, how do you choose to serve God? And was this explanation good enough for you? I feel like I did a decent enough job. With that being said, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, see all that, and I'm gonna see y'all next time. Bye.